Hello and welcome to Global Outlook. I'm Mary Sitt. We're coming to you from our podcast studio. You can find us at HCC TV, but you can also go to hccs.edu/podcasts and find a podcast link. Download it immediately and listen to it. You can also find a link to our YouTube full video version. You know, HCC has a lot of international students from all over the world. It's a very rich program. And recently we had a transfer fair to show them how they can transfer to four-year universities who really want the HCC students. Let's take a look.
We're here at the 2019 International Transfer Fairs for international students. We are looking to provide international students with information on different colleges and universities, on how to go about transferring, as well as the different types of scholarships. We have over 15 universities here looking to provide information to our international students on what they need to do to further their education career.
I was looking to get information on the nursing programs offered at the Health Center at Texas Tech University, which is where I'm trying to transfer to when I leave HCC.
HCC has a high population of international students. So for recruitment purposes and enrollment, of course, we want to seek out those markets where we can gain, those students for our university.
HCC, we're right down the street, right? So we do have quite a few students, international and domestic students, that come to the University of Houston that are interested in our programs. They tend to be the cream of the crop, right? They have the GPA requirements, they come in, they're ready, they're prepared for the courses that they're going to take at our university. So why not HCC, essentially?
With HCC having the largest population of international students, we want to showcase that once you have graduated from HCC, that you can go on to a university, you can become prominent in your career, and you can further your education.
Apart from the cost of the classes, I feel starting out at community college gives you a much more greater experience at the diverse community, interacting with students, and at the point of transfer, it's like a leverage for you based on experience.
Now let's meet one of those international students. We have with us in our studio Silvia Comsa from Romania, studying petroleum engineering. Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming, Silvia.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about your town, where you came from, what region in Romania, and how did you pick HCC?
I come from Transylvania, so it's the central region of Romania, and my town is called Sebeș. It's a very small town, kind of in the mountains. A very small population, around 30,000. And then I came here, and originally I was at College of the Mainland in St. Jack for a while, but I wanted to pursue this particular program, and ACC was the only college that had it. So I just did my own research, and that's how I found about ACC.
So it must have been a huge, huge adjustment to go from a tiny little mountain town to this sprawling city of Houston, right? How did you adjust to that?
Luckily, I visited a few times during the summer during high school. But of course, it was completely different when I came to live here. And it took me a while to adjust. I was lucky enough to have my family and friends around me here, so they made it
your family,
easy.
Your aunt and uncle?
My aunt and uncle, yes. My parents are back home, yes. But it took me a while. ACC and Houston is a very nice place to be in if you're international, because there's so many people from everywhere here. So at St. Jack and at ACC, I was lucky enough to find other international students that were going through the same experience.
Could you find Romanian food here?
There was one Romanian restaurant, and unfortunately closed recently. But the chef, I met him whenever I was there. And we talked a little bit, and he actually he lived very close to where I used to live. And now he's opening a second restaurant, and he just wants to make it more general Eastern European food. But there's also a Romanian church north of Houston they always make food and stuff.
So there are little tidbits of home here in Houston that helped you adjust. How about your professors here at HCC? Tell me about the programs and your courses you took.
It's funny because in this program, the petroleum engineering one, most of the professors are international as well. Okay. Technically, a lot of them came from Nigeria and other places. So everybody has an accent, you know, everybody,
uh-huh.
it didn't feel as strange to me, you know, it felt kind of
It's like
familiar.
United Nations, right?
Yes, exactly.
All over the world. So you had a really good experience here at HCC. I know you're a recent graduate. You were student ambassador, is that right? Tell me about that experience.
That was great. Whenever I found out about it, I always wanted to get more involved with international students. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, when I first came here, I kind of had a rocky start. And before ACC, I was kind of struggling to figure out what I wanted to do. And it's harder whenever you come from a different country because you don't know anything about the educational system here and you have to learn so much more. So whenever I came to HCC, I felt pretty comfortable knowing everything I need to know. So whenever I received an email from Dr. Nithi that he was looking for ambassadors, I was very happy to apply. And you know, we're just trying to put up activities for international students, to engage with them. We created social media. So
Party planner.
Yes, exactly, yes. It's still kind of hard to reach everybody because it's hundreds of international students, but even if it's just 20 or 30 people sometimes that come to our activities, we're still glad we can help them out.
And you also won some sort of an internship that got you to Germany for 2 weeks?
Oh, yes.
From tell me how that happened. That's great.
So that was amazing. It was through the workforce programs. So this is actually the first of their type they did, the first scholarship they did like this. Usually they just have them for the honors program that they get to travel. So they decided that they wanted to try one out for us because they've had people from Germany come here before from a technical school over there, but we never went.
Okay.
So they put out this scholarship and I applied and luckily I got it. And it was amazing. We were in Hanover, which is in the north of Germany, for about 2 weeks. And we got to visit companies like Baker Hughes, and we actually went inside and saw how they build the machines and how they make all these cool things. And we got to go to their school there and actually do labs. We did electrical engineering labs, we did mechanical engineering labs.
In English or German with translation?
Most of the teachers spoke English as well, and most of the students spoke English as well. So it was very easy for us to get on the same.
So what do you want to do with your degree now from HCC?
So now I'm actually planning to return back to Romania and start working in Europe for a while.
As an engineer, oil and gas?
Yes, in oil and gas. And I want to figure out before I continue with my bachelor's if I do want to stay in this particular field. So I want to start getting some experience because I'm also very interested in electrical and mechanical engineering. That's why I was so excited for that scholarship because I actually got to see how they do the labs there, and the school they have there in Germany was very good.
Did you know when you were very young that you wanted to be an engineer? Were you always tinkering with things and putting things together, or when did this come about, this desire to be an engineer?
I was like that whenever I was young. I would always love building things and making forts and all kinds of things and breaking things apart. And my mother is an engineer. And
so you had a good role model,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. What would you say to other international students who come here from another country, they don't really know, maybe from a small town to a big city? What tips would you offer them?
Don't be afraid to reach out. Whenever you get here initially, it's very intimidating. In a lot of universities in smaller countries, they don't have a lot of clubs, they don't have a lot of activities. You just kind of go to school and go back home. But here, there's so many things you can do if you want to. You know, you can join sports. You can even go into the bookstore, the library. You can meet somebody there. And for me, the biggest changes that I've seen, the positive changes, is after I started reaching out and I started joining clubs, international students clubs where I could meet people like myself, even other clubs where I could just meet people from here, so I can, learn more about Houston. So just don't be afraid to reach out. I know it's very scary in the beginning, and you're afraid. You have an accent. Some people come here.
English is wonderful, though.
Yes, thank you.
It's very good.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's better now, but in the beginning, I was very self-aware of my accent, and I was like, what if they don't understand me? And there are points where, I would ask a question in class, and the teacher would be like, can you repeat that or something? And for them, it's not a big deal, but for us, it seems like, oh my God.
Because it's scary enough to ask a question in class, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just reach out and don't be afraid to make friends, and just say hi to people, say hi to your classmates. It really makes a difference.
What's the single most interesting experience for you at HCC? The thing that just changed your life the most, had the most influence on you?
I would say the Germany trip.
trip.
Yes, it really opened up my mind about what I want to do in the future, and I got to meet such great people over there. And it was just one of those groups that I went with that everybody got along, and even the teachers.
That's
and
great.
it was
Sylvia, thank you
beautiful.
so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Coming up next, we'll learn about a mystical production, a musical. Stay with us.
This is Ronik. She's a mom with a physics degree, so she understands the power of momentum. And she knows that by learning English at Houston Community College, she'll be unstoppable. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I learned how to cook from my grandmother in the mountains of Oaxaca. Every time I need some comfort, I just remember what she told me. HCC definitely was a turning point in my life. What those wonderful teachers and instructors taught me is priceless. I have won many awards and worked in many restaurants. HCC was the window which opened the opportunity for me. For this wonderful city, they have given me so much. I will thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Meet Saskia. She loves cars. Seriously, she whistles at them. So she's studying engineering at Houston Community College. After that, a 4-year degree. Then it's off to the races. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
In March, Houstonians will get to see a new musical production making its debut. It's called Lady of Agreda, a mystical journey. Here to tell us more is Donna Cole. She's executive producer of Lady in Blue Productions.
Hi.
And also the co-founder of Pantheon of Women. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
So this is a fascinating story about a 17th century nun named Maria or Mary, right?
Right.
Tell me about her story.
Well,
She actually lived. She's a real life person.
She's
who
a
lived
real
back
life
then.
person.
Mhm.
It's a true story, and we're telling her story. So this is a mystical journey, right? Because
Okay.
she was a mystic at the time, even though she was a cloistered nun, right? And when she meditated, she could levitate. And
Okay, so when you say levitate, you mean like lifting
lift
off
up
the
her
ground?
body off the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. And so over a period of time, she started when she was 18, she was able to bilocate. So although her physical body was in Agreda, Spain, she was coming to the New World to convert Humanos Indians to Christianity.
So she basically sort of teleported.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but she did that while she was meditating and praying in her
room.
In her room, and so it would be like a vision she was seeing?
It was a vision, but you know how mystics are, right? So she was revered for her spiritual writings, but at the same time, she was condemned for them because of her bilocation, her abilities, and people doubting her. But, you know, in West Texas, there's the Concho River, and there's these mussels who develop pink pearls. Well, she had pink pearls in Spain. So if you're a nun behind prison bars, how do you get these pink pearls? How do you do tapestry and know how to do the Indian clothing and their paintings on their face?
And she did that?
She did that.
And she'd
yet-
never traveled outside
no.
of Spain.
And yet in West Texas, there's a place called Paint Rock, and there's some carbon dated drawings, pictographs, that show a nun and show the cross and all. So, you know, when you think about all of this, you know, you may not be a believer, but you spiritually,
Something
there's
happened.
something happened, right?
Okay, so the legend is that these Native Americans they saw this lady in blue come over.
Yes,
she
she's
like
known as
descend
Lady
from
in
the
Blue
sky
from
or what?
Europe, and she just appeared.
She just
so it
appeared,
wasn't
okay.
in the sky. She just appeared, and they would come to her. And at first, they shot arrows at her, right? And so she was like, "Why are you trying to hurt me? I'm only here to help you."
Okay.
And so then they were just in awe that she didn't die because they were shooting arrows through her, and she made 500 trips. Is what she said over the years.
And she wrote about these adventures.
And
or
she
these
wrote about them.
experiences.
She was also highly influential for her times. She was a pen pal to King Philip IV.
Oh my goodness.
So he was also interested in this mystic who was doing this bilocation, right? And so he went to see her 3 times at the convent, but of course, she's veiled and she's behind bars, so you can't
Why is
really
she
see her
behind bars?
face.
That's
Because she
normal
was
back then?
cloistered. Yeah, she was a cloistered nun.
So you just didn't
never
get
to
out
go,
there?
never to go out. Yeah.
I mean, could she actually go in a garden somewhere?
Inside the convent,
convent,
yeah.
okay.
And so they started riding back and forth, and she says, I can't be doing this unless you send a rider on a horse, right, back and forth. So he would ride on one side of the paper, and she would ride on the other. There's over 600 letters between the two of
And we
them
still have
in
this.
25 years.
It's
I'm
there.
reading them now. So
So it's been
interesting.
published.
They've been published. In 1930s, there was a student at UT
Uh-huh.
in Austin. She took all of those letters that were in Spanish and translated them. Yeah.
Now, from the Indians' perspective, or the Native Americans who saw this lady in blue, this nun, did she convert them to Christianity? Or
She did. At the time, what was happening was that there were Comanches and Apaches who were killing off Humanos Indians, and they were nomads.
Okay.
And so they looked to her for Christianity because they were going to the ministries and asking to be baptized from her, right, and to be saved. Yeah.
And so, how would they have known about this whole thing, the whole concept of baptism, unless something happened, right?
Exactly.
Because there were no other missionaries earlier than that
No.
point.
Well, they had killed them before.
Okay, right.
you know.
So
Yeah.
she had a good influence on them. Did the fighting between the different Indian?
Well,
tribes-
as years went by, people would pull off or spin off from the Apache or Comanches and come to the Humanos and all of that. But they were more of a kinder tribe than the Comanches and the Apaches. And so, just her story is just so wonderful. So, in that, there were disbelievers,
Right.
And then there was people who thought it was heresy.
And did she get punished for that?
Oh, my God. She went through 2 Spanish Inquisitions, and she survived.
Wow. So they
Right?
thought she was heretic for
Yeah.
having these sort of
Right,
teleporting
and they were going to kill
experiences.
her, right? But I think the king probably saved her. The other is that they made her burn her books. So the Virgin Mary actually came to her to speak to her to write. So she wrote The Mystical City of God. There's 4 volumes, and she had to burn them. And the king saved a copy.
And that's how we still have
And that's how we
something.
still have it today.
So what kind of, is it like meditation type writing, spiritual, devotional
It's all spiritual.
things?
It's
or-
about Jesus. It's about God. It's about spirituality,
Okay.
of having faith, And, it's interesting because she would say she's not worthy of God in her trips, right, to convert these Humanos Indians to Christianity. And he would say, no, you're great, you should be doing this, and you're in the right place, you're a nun, and you're cloistered. And then he would say, how could he be king of this whole country? Because he was king at a very young age, too, as she was being a nun. And she would support him and say, no, you're where you should be, and you're going to be a great leader, and you're going to do good things.
So they were like soulmates to each other in a
They
way,
were.
helping and encouraging each other in their own roles. Is that right?
And she would tell him to stay in faith, right?
So how did you come across this story and decide, let's make it a musical?
I was invited to San Angelo, Texas, about 5 years ago to be a speaker on business. And as I was leaving, we were in a cafe, and this lady was in the audience, and she said, "Hi, can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So we started talking, and she wrote the song, Jose Cuervo, You're a Friend of Mine. This is Cindy Jordan. And she was telling me the story, and that she wanted to make it a musical or a play or a film or something,
And she's a
write the
songwriter.
music. She's a songwriter.
Okay.
So she wrote this beautiful music, and it's so mesmerizing. And I thought, gee, that's really interesting. Maybe someday, but I don't know. Okay, so here I am going to Dallas. I'm in the back seat of a Uber, and I'm at the corner of my street in Eldridge, and I look over, and you know how they're painting these electrical boxes? They're so beautiful,
yes,
right?
I've seen them.
Oh my God, they painted bluebonnets on my electrical boxes. So legend says by the Indians, the way Texas got bluebonnets was everywhere her blue cape touched the ground, bluebonnets grew.
Did you know that legend before you saw the blue bonnets on the electrical box?
No. And then I saw those bluebonnets on the electrical box, and then somebody
you
had
found
reminded
out,
me of the
right.
story, and I'm like, oh my God, God is talking to me. I need to do this. I
Okay.
need to produce this show about
All right, let's
Maria.
take a break right now, Donna. We'll be right back with more with Donna Cole talking about the Lady of Agrada.
Meet Elizabeth. She's a mom on her way to get groceries. She's also on her way to getting an associate's degree at Houston Community College that could help provide for her family. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
We have academic programs that help students get from high school into a university. And the data is very clear that students that take the path of a community college finish in far higher numbers than students that start straight into a university experience. Our students can achieve a baccalaureate degree in multiple fields from the universities in the area without ever leaving Houston Community College.
Meet Ekaterina. She has lofty goals to learn English and accounting. So she's studying for 2 degrees at Houston Community College, which means she's going all the way to the top. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
We're talking with Donna Coe, the executive producer of Lady in Blue Productions, which is producing a brand new musical coming out in March called Lady of Agreda, a mystical journey.
A mystical journey.
And this is about a nun who actually lived in the 17th century, very influential, corresponded with the King of Spain at the time, and also teleported or telecommuted in a vision or something, right?
Spiritually.
To the New World, San Angelo, basically,
Yeah.
right? And spoke with and influenced the Native Americans there.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did you decide this was going to become a musical?
Well, Cindy Jordan, the writer of the music, the lyricist and composer, came to Houston, met with Bruce Lumpkin, who's a director, and they called me and said, let's go to dinner, I want to talk to you. And so she was telling me the story, and I remembered it from when I was in San Angelo before, and I said, oh, okay, I'm interested, right? Let's talk some more.
Did you have a script at all to look at, or you had to commission someone to write?
Right, so we commissioned Marlene Singletary to write the book, and so Marley's very talented, so we're really excited to work with Marley. And, you know, just we've got this whole creative team that's so exciting.
Okay, so Donna, people might say, well, what kind of interests would the wider audience have if you're not religious or you're not into, you know, nuns, okay,
Right.
or musicals? I
Right.
mean, what kind of appeal would this have? To
You
dim
know, the
audiences?
appeal is that it's spiritual,
Okay.
and not only that, it's relevant to today's time.
And how?
Right? Because, you know, she was being bullied,
Okay.
right, by fellow nuns. They didn't like her so much, and because she was levitating, they were actually blowing holes in the door holes and watching her move. So then the church had decided that they would use her to make money for the church.
Oh my goodness.
So as she was levitating, they were having people pay to watch. Yeah. So, you know, there was just some
Commercializing it, yeah.
commercializing it, and yet here she was spiritual, and if she was converting Humanos Indians, right, to Christianity, that's a good thing. But then there were people who were disbelievers, right? So she was being persecuted for that. And
So
yet,
it's really a story of a woman with strength and perseverance and spirituality and faith. Is that right?
spirituality and faith and overcoming challenges, huge challenges, right? Almost deadly challenges,
Right.
so to speak. And yet she was talking to King Philip through her writings, right? They had over 600 letters between them, Mary.
That's amazing.
It is.
Over how many years?
25 years.
Wow. And she would give him advice, spiritual advice, that kind of thing?
She would give him spiritual advice. She would help prop him up when he was down. I mean, you know, there's times when you have loving friends and people around you, but you still feel alone, right? No matter what your challenges are or what you're going through. And you can imagine being King of Spain, he was going through a lot. Right? And so was she. So he was also supporting her and saying, oh no, you know, God picked you, right? To do this work. And she would say, stay in faith, you know.
So how has this producing a play like this changed you? What effect has it had on you? You're a businesswoman. Besides being a producer of plays and movies, you also have your own gas and oil and gas company.
Being a business person, so you know that's kind of the left side of the brain.
Right.
And I like to think of producing movies is my right side of
that
the brain.
Creative side.
Being creative, but not only that, being able to help people, right? Because I still want to mentor people, and I only have so much time. And if we tell a good story, right? Strong women, supportive men, that's what he was. That we can help change the world, that we can make it a better place.
And I know the reason why you went to Pantheon of Women in the first place is to be able to say that same message to a huge audience all at once instead of just one-on-one with the person. Is that right?
Absolutely.
So what other things have you produced with Pantheon of Women?
Well, we did Breaking Out of Sunset Place, which is great, right? Because it talks about elderly people and how they're getting along, and you know they're still young inside, right? And you still have joys and things that you want to do that you haven't finished doing, and so I just love that story, and for people to look at older people in a different light, right? And then, you know, I Dream Too Much, which was about a young woman trying to find herself in life. And aren't we always trying to find ourselves in life? And even when you have a career, and you're retired, it's like, well, what's next, right? So who am I, so what's next?
This is the one of the young lady who went to live with her aunt?
Yes.
Yes, after she broke a leg and had to recover.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So with this one, it's going to be a play at the Queensberry Theater, right? What are the dates?
So it's March the 12th to April 5th.
Okay.
It's in City Center, and Queensberry is a lovely theater, about 250 seats. So it's very intimate, so you'll feel like you're right there.
These are all professional actors and musicians?
All professional actors. We have this. We just had a creative meeting today, and the set is just going to be awesome.
How are you going to show that transporting?
Well, I'm not going to give it away. You're going to have to come see it.
Okay. You can't Photoshop her in. It's not a film, right?
Right. No, they're doing some wonderful things. I mean, you know, technology today, you can just do some awesome things.
Right. I've seen flying angels at church, so there are all kinds of things you can do. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this play, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's all for this edition of Global Outlook. We'll see you again every Friday and Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and p.m., plus Saturday at 10 a.m. You can also go to our website, hccs.edu/podcast, download the podcast and listen on the go, or watch it immediately, listen to it immediately, or you can watch it on our YouTube channel. I'm Mary Sitch. Thanks for joining us.